Have you ever felt tired before the day even starts, your mind racing, your chest tight? Carrying worries you can't even name? Anxiety has a way of feeling necessary. Like if you stop worrying, everything will fall apart. But what if that weight you've been carrying isn't protecting you at all? What if it's the very thing stealing your peace? In this teaching, you'll discover how Jesus shows us not just to stop worrying, but how to finally put the burden down and walk free again. There's a story I heard once that has stayed with me because the moment I heard it, I realized it wasn't really about someone else, it was about me. It was about a woman who carried a heavy backpack everywhere she went. Day after day, year after year, that backpack never left her shoulders. The weight slowly bent her posture. The straps dug deep grooves into her skin. You could see the burden on her before she ever said a word. One day, someone finally asked her a simple question. "What are you carrying in there?" She hesitated. Her hands trembled a little as she reached back and slowly unzipped the bag. When she opened it, there was nothing inside. Not a single item. Just empty space. Confused, the person asked, "Then why are you still carrying it?" She paused, tears filling her eyes, and said something heartbreaking. "I don't remember what it feels like to walk without it." That backpack is anxiety. And if we're being honest, most of us know exactly what that feels like. Anxiety is a weight we carry that has nothing solid inside it, yet it somehow feels like everything. It follows us to work, into conversations, into our quiet moments at night. It sits with us when we wake up in the morning and whispers to us before we fall asleep. It's invisible, but it's heavy. We know anxiety doesn't help us. We've heard the scriptures. We've read the verses. Cast your cares on Him. Do not be anxious about anything. We've listened to sermons, watched videos, nodded along in agreement. And yet knowing what we should do and actually being able to do it feel like two completely different battles. I've been there. Lying in bed at night, exhausted but unable to sleep, replaying conversations that already happened and worrying about situations that haven't even started yet. Telling myself just trust God while still gripping the backpack tightly, afraid of what might happen if I let go. It's frustrating because part of you knows better, but another part of you feels stuck. Jesus understood this tension. That's why when He talked about anxiety in the book of Matthew, He didn't just say stop worrying and walk away. He didn't dismiss the struggle or shame people for feeling overwhelmed. Instead, He showed us how to actually put the backpack down. But to do that, He first helps us understand what anxiety really is. Anxiety isn't just worry. It's worry about worry. It's your mind trying to get ahead of life, trying to solve problems that don't exist yet, or may never exist at all. It's rehearsing conversations that haven't happened, preparing for outcomes that aren't guaranteed, and carrying solutions for disasters that are still imaginary. And here's the dangerous part: anxiety feels productive. It feels like preparation. It feels responsible. It convinces you that if you think long enough, plan hard enough, and worry deeply enough, you can somehow prevent pain or failure. I've caught myself doing this, telling myself I'm just being realistic, when in reality I'm just exhausting my mind and heart. But Jesus calls anxiety what it truly is: a thief. In the book of Matthew chapter 6 verse 27, Jesus asks a question so simple it cuts right through the noise. Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? And the answer is obvious. Number. Anxiety never adds anything. It only subtracts. It steals your peace. It steals your sleep. It steals your joy. You can be physically present in a room, but mentally somewhere else, entirely replaying worst-case scenarios and disasters that haven't happened. You're there with the people you love, but you're not really there. Your body shows up, but your mind is trapped in the future. And this is where the message starts to shift, because Jesus doesn't stop at telling us what not to do. He doesn't just expose anxiety for what it is and leave us there. He gives us a replacement, an antidote, a better way to live. And it begins with 3 words that sound simple but have the power to change everything. Seek first His kingdom. Most people hear that and immediately think it means praying more, reading the Bible more, or trying harder to be spiritual. And while those things matter, Jesus is pointing to something much deeper. Seeking God's kingdom first means allowing God to be in charge of tomorrow while you focus on today. It means trading control for trust. And if I'm honest, that's where the real struggle is. Because anxiety isn't just about fear, it's about control. It's about our desire to manage outcomes, protect ourselves, and make sure nothing goes wrong. Letting go feels risky. It feels unnatural. But it's also the first step toward freedom. Jesus goes deeper into this idea of trust in a way that feels almost uncomfortable if you're someone who likes to plan, prepare, and stay 10 steps ahead. In the book of Matthew chapter 6, verse 34, he says, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." At first glance, that can sound dismissive, like Jesus is saying tomorrow doesn't matter. But that's not what he means at all. What he's really saying is, this tomorrow matters, but tomorrow has its own grace. And the grace you need for tomorrow's problems has not been given to you today because you don't need it yet. This was a hard lesson for me to learn. I used to wake up already tired, not because I hadn't slept, but because my mind had already run through the entire day, and the week after it before my feet even touched the floor. I would borrow stress from meetings that hadn't happened, conversations that might never take place, and outcomes that were completely out of my control. And by the time the day actually arrived, I was already worn out. That's what anxiety does. It makes us live in a future we were never designed to carry. Jesus is inviting us to stay present. Not careless, not irresponsible, present. He's teaching us that when we drag tomorrow's worries into today, we overload our hearts with weight we were never meant to bear. You only have the grace for today's assignments, today's challenges, and today's decisions, and that's on purpose. To help us understand this, Scripture gives us a powerful picture from the Old Testament. When the Israelites were wandering in the wilderness, God provided food for them every single day. This food was called manna. They didn't plant it. They didn't earn it. They simply woke up, gathered what they needed for that day, and trusted God to do the same thing tomorrow. But here's the key part. If they tried to store the manna overnight, if they tried to hoard it out of fear that God wouldn't provide the next day, it would rot. It would breed worms. What was meant to sustain them became useless the moment they tried to control the future. God was teaching them a lesson that still applies to us today. Daily provision requires daily trust. I see myself in that story more than I'd like to admit. I want tomorrow's answers today. I want guarantees. I want clarity for situations that are still unfolding. And when I don't have those things, anxiety sneaks in and tells me I need to figure it all out right now. But God never promised early answers. He promised daily bread. Today's grace is for today. Tomorrow's grace comes tomorrow. And this is where something shifts, because Jesus doesn't just tell us to stop worrying about tomorrow. He shows us how to release it. The real moment when the backpack begins to come off is found in the book of Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. The Apostle Paul writes, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition. With thanksgiving present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts." Let's return to where we left off, because these next words from Scripture are where everything begins to change on a practical, everyday level. In the book of Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7, the Apostle Paul writes, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your..." By the time you reach this point, you start to realize something important. Anxiety doesn't disappear all at once. The backpack doesn't fall off your shoulders in a single dramatic moment. Most of the time, it comes off one strap at a time. One decision, one prayer, one act of trust layered on top of another. The woman in the story couldn't remember what it felt like to walk without the weight. And that's where many of us are. Anxiety has been with us for so long that it feels normal. It feels familiar. In a strange way, it even feels safe, because at least we know how to carry it. Letting it go feels foreign, almost irresponsible. But freedom often feels unfamiliar before it feels good. I remember the first time I tried to truly give a worry to God instead of just talking about it. It felt awkward. I said the words, but my hands were still clenched. My mind kept circling back, checking to see if the worry was still there, like reaching for a bag that wasn't on my shoulder anymore. That's because anxiety isn't just a habit of thought, it's a habit of trust placed in the wrong place. This is why Scripture doesn't just tell us to pray, it tells us how to pray. In Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7, Paul doesn't say pray and hope for the best. He says to pray with thanksgiving. That detail matters more than we often realize. Thanksgiving is the language of trust. When you thank God before you see the outcome, you're saying, "I believe you are already working, even if I can't see it yet." You're shifting your confidence from your ability to control the situation to God's ability to handle it. That's when peace begins to settle in. Not because everything is fixed, but because your heart is no longer fighting alone. And that peace Paul talks about isn't fragile. He describes it as a guard. A guard stands watch. A guard protects what matters. When you pray with thanksgiving, God's peace stands at the door of your heart and mind, keeping anxiety from rushing back in the same way it used to. But here's something important to understand: peace doesn't always feel loud. Sometimes it feels like quiet. Sometimes it feels like being able to breathe again. Sometimes it's simply the ability to sit still without your mind spiraling into worst-case scenarios. And sometimes peace shows up as the strength to take the next step without needing the whole map. This isn't about pretending everything is fine when it isn't. Faith is not denial. Faith is choosing where you place your confidence. Anxiety says, I have to figure this out, or everything will fall apart. Faith says, God is already at work. My job is to walk with Him today. That's why the practice of daily surrender is so powerful. Not once a year, not only during crises, daily, sometimes multiple times a day. Every time you feel your shoulders tense up again, it's an invitation to release what you've picked back up. This leads us to something very practical, an assignment, if you will. Tonight, before you go to sleep, do something different. Don't scroll. Don't distract yourself. Take a quiet moment and imagine that invisible backpack you've been carrying. Now unzip it. Name every worry inside it out loud to God. Not in polished religious language. Just honestly. The finances. The relationship. The health report. The future. Say them one by one. And after each one, say these simple words: God, this is yours now. Then say this: I'm walking without this tomorrow. It won't feel natural at first. You might wake up and instinctively reach for that backpack again. That's okay. Habits take time to change. Every time you notice yourself picking it back up, gently remind yourself of the truth: Jesus already carried this weight to the cross. You were never meant to carry it alone. And here's the beautiful part: each time you choose to put the backpack down, even for a moment, you're retraining your heart. You're learning what it feels like to walk upright again, to live present, to trust instead of tense. There's a moment near the end of the story that changes everything for me. It's not dramatic. There's no sudden miracle, no instant transformation. It's simply this realization: the woman didn't forget how to walk without the backpack overnight. But she learned again, step by step, day by day, choice by choice. And that's how freedom from anxiety actually works. Most of us are waiting for a feeling to disappear before we change the way we live. We say, once I feel less anxious, then I'll trust God more. But Jesus flips that order. He invites us to trust first, and then peace follows. Not all at once, not perfectly, but faithfully. You were never meant to live bent over by fear. You were never designed to carry the weight of tomorrow, next month, or next year on your shoulders. Anxiety convinces us that if we stop worrying, something bad will happen. Faith reminds us that God is already present in the places we're afraid to go. One of the most freeing truths I've learned is this: letting go is not the same as giving up. Letting go is giving responsibility back to the one who can actually handle it. Anxiety says, if I don't hold this together, it will fall apart. Faith says, even if I let go, God is still holding everything together. And this is where the cross changes everything. Every time you're tempted to pick the backpack back up, remember this: Jesus already carried the full weight of sin, fear, shame, and uncertainty to the cross. He carried what you could never carry on your own. When He said it is finished, He wasn't just talking about forgiveness, He was talking about the burden. You don't have to keep paying for something that's already been paid for. Living free doesn't mean anxiety will never knock on your door again. It means you don't have to invite it in and let it stay. You can acknowledge the fear without obeying it. You can notice the worry without carrying it. You can say, I see you, but you're not in charge here. That's why speaking things out loud matters so much. When you name a worry and give it to God, you break anxiety's power to stay hidden. Silence feeds fear. Light weakens it. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply say, God, I trust you with this, even when your emotions haven't caught up yet. And I want to invite you into something right now, not as a viewer, but as a participant. Take a moment and think of one worry. Not all of them. Just one. The one that's been the heaviest lately. The one you keep replaying in your mind. Now, instead of carrying it silently, I want you to name it. You can type it out in the comments. No explanations, No fixing. Just honesty. There's something powerful about saying it out loud. This is what I'm giving to God today. I'll be praying over every single one. Not as someone who has it all figured out, but as someone walking this same path of trust, one day at a time. And as you move forward from here, remember, this freedom is not found in controlling outcomes, it's found in trusting God's character. Peace doesn't come from knowing what will happen next. It comes from knowing who walks with you no matter what happens. Tomorrow will have its own worries, but it will also have its own grace. And when tomorrow comes, God will meet you there just like He's meeting you here today. You were created to walk upright. You were created to breathe deeply. You were created to live present, not paralyzed by fear. Today doesn't have to look perfect. It just has to be surrendered. So take a step forward without the backpack. Even if it feels strange. Even if it feels light in a way you're not used to yet. With every step you're learning again what it feels like to trust, to rest, and to walk free. And this is just the beginning. If there's one thing to hold on to from all of this, it's that you were never meant to carry life's weight on your own. Anxiety may feel familiar, but peace is still possible. One surrender, one prayer, one step at a time. You don't have to fix everything today. You just have to trust God with today. If this message spoke to you, take a moment to like the video so it can reach someone else who needs it, and consider subscribing to stay encouraged on this journey. You're not walking it alone.